Chess is for Tyler Perry Sistas, Season 9, Episode 1. First thing first, let me know y'all thoughts on tonight's new episode down below. What did y'all think? Did y'all like the episode? What do y'all think is going to be the outcome in regards to Karen? Now, people have been speculating, first of all, that she's either going to miscarry, she's either going to lose Zach's baby, she's going to lose both babies, or either she's going to pass away during childbirth. But yeah, that's so far that's all I've seen in regards to it. I don't know for sure. I know they had already dropped a synopsis saying that Dr. Cruz was gonna be very dismissive, and he was very dismissive. Not just him, the lady at the desk too. Now I understood what she was saying about they not having rooms and stuff like that, but at the same time they telling you something's wrong. She keeps saying it. She never changed the story. She said something's wrong. Then she bleeding, she got chills and stuff. They over here talking about something. Oh, it's normal, and they still supposed to be talking about the same thing on next week's episode, y'all. But yeah, let me give a quick summary. Karen doing bad. She has chills. She been vomiting and bleeding a lot, but the doctor being dismissive, as well as the lady at the desk, saying that it's normal. I said Fatima's a real one for sticking beside Karen, trying to get her help. Everyone is on the way to the hospital, but it look like they stuck in traffic. Zach and Andy ends up surviving, but so did Gary and Hudson. Hudson got arrested. Sabrina mad that Rich moved on so fast. Penelope ends up saying that Rich told her that Sabrina slept with her sperm donor. But I was like, I thought they said they didn't sleep together. I thought they only got closer. I don't know. I forgot. It's been a while, y'all. It's been a while. Tony ends up telling Danny or asking her to move to Alaska with him. She declines. He ends up asking her to come visit at least. She declines. Then somebody's gonna let her know if she gonna be single tomorrow. And I was like, I know Danny make jokes. I know she don't tell you how she feels. She jokes about it, or she try to change the subject or say what she said. But at the same time, it's like, girl, he trying because nobody told you to dump that doggone coffee or whatever it was on this man. But okay, so we're going to start from the top. Zach, Andy, Gary, Hudson. So it was confirmed that Jasmine the only one that died. Did Hudson get shot? Jasmine was the only one that died, y'all. They carried her out in the body bag and everything. But yeah, they ended up coming. Zach was the one that called the police. At first, I thought there was that Asian dude or whatever before they turned the lights on. But yeah, Jasmine, the only one died. Zach and Andy ended up making it. Gary made it. He under the table shaking and stuff. I knew he was shaking. I was like, was he shaking? But then Zach mentioned it. He was like, he's shivering and stuff. But Zach did say that he was surprised because Gary actually tried to help. At first, the way Andy was looking at Gary, I said, don't do it. I said, don't you do it. I said, don't you do it. We sick of y'all too now. The way she was looking at him when Zach left or whatever, I was like, don't you do it. We sick of this. It's been season 1 through what, 8? Season 1 through 8, y'all sitting up here going back and forth and stuff. But yeah, like I said, I think they ended up going to the police station, but they didn't show that part. They ended up coming back to Andy's house, and she asked him to check and see, if everything okay. She ends up mentioning Gary, and that's when Zach was saying how Gary actually helped. She told him to go put his phone on the charger in her room, so he did. And later in the episode, he knocked on the door and he called out to her. At first, I thought she was in the shower. I thought they had the lit shower running and everything. And I was like, don't you go in there. Don't you go in there. So he goes in there and he sees her naked. And they talk about not telling Fatima. And I said, that's how it started. That's exactly how it started. Something small or small to y'all turns into something major. And I said, don't start it. Next thing you know, they'll be blaming on the fact that they almost died. And I said, don't do it. We're sick of this now. We're sick of this. But yeah, they talked about not telling Fatima. Saying basically she doesn't have to know. Yeah, she do. She need to know everything. She needs to know everything. What else? They kept trying to connect their phone and get service, but they couldn't. They finally was able to listen to voicemail. The first one was just talking about Fatima wondering if Andy was okay and saying that if something happened, then Gary gonna pay the price and all this other stuff. Then the last voicemail, they combined it and showed everybody, all the sisters listening, and she was just saying she's worried something's wrong. Karen's bleeding a lot. She vomiting. She has chills and stuff like that. Then the doctor talking about some doggone, it's normal, whatever. And still gonna be talking about it on next week's episode. I think they said her real doctor's supposed to come, but by then it's supposed to be too late. Allegedly, we don't know exactly what's gonna happen. We just know a lot of people been saying, even before the trailer aired, that Karen was gonna miscarry both babies. Then they started saying that she was gonna miscarry Zach's baby. They already showed him, I think he had on the same black jacket in the trailer, and he was crying, and they was back at the house look like. But yeah, who we got next? Fatima, Karen, Miss Lisa. So Fatima was study trying to get Karen help. Karen kept saying, something's wrong. She knows she could feel it, and she kept saying it and kept saying it. But the lady at the desk was like, they didn't have no more rooms because of the blackout. They had other patients in the room, so they couldn't do nothing. So Fatima kept going back to try to find out if a room was available. So she kept saying no. Then she finally said it was one available, but then Fatima came back and she said it's been an hour or whatever. She told me, so they cleaned it right now. She was dismissal just like the doctor was dismissal. Hold on, y'all. She was dismissal just like the doctor was dismissal or whatever. So, black nurse lady, because I don't know if she was a doctor. I'm assuming she was a nurse. She came, she checked on Karen, and she was like, we putting her in the room now. She's supposed to know. I was going to put another patient in. How you going to tell this lady you finna get her a room, then somebody said, no, you about to put her in another room, and they started telling you something's wrong or whatever. And I said, they done made this lady lose her doggone baby, allegedly. We don't know yet. I said, that's kind of messed up. Well, it actually is messed up, but I was talking about this before. I was like, this is a good storyline. Excuse me. This is a good storyline because it happens all the time, and nobody talks about it. Well, some people talk about it, but not enough. Not enough for people to step forward and actually do better. But yeah, I like this storyline. I don't like if she lose the baby, but at the same time, like, they need to bring awareness. But yeah, they finally put her in the room. This doctor done came up in here talking about what's going on. He ain't really look at her or nothing. Not talking to her or nothing. Didn't he leave out? If y'all seen the episode, didn't he leave? I was like, you ain't do nothing. But yeah, so she started saying the same thing. Her mama make it because Fatima had called. She been trying to call everybody's phone not working and stuff. Miss Lisa arrived. She said that Aaron's on his way. He done came in here with some pink balloons and stuff, not aware of what's going on. But yeah, the doctor come in. They telling him that she's bleeding and stuff like that. Well, no, I take that back. He found out she was bleeding. He looked under the little sheet or whatever. Then to my son, she bleeding, but that's normal. Miss Lisa's supposed to be saying to Fatima and them on next week's episode that she was in labor and stuff like that, but nothing like that ever happened. Hold on. But yeah, they're telling him she got chills, she cold and stuff, because first she was burning up. Now she got chills. And they started trying to tell him or whatever. He's talking about, oh, that's normal or whatever. Just being very dismissive. And I was like, that's so messed up. They said that on the synopsis. They said something was going to go wrong because the doctor sat up here being dismissive and not actually listening to her. And not only that, Andy's supposed to look into his background, and apparently he's done this before. Hold on. But yeah, what else happened? Let me see. I think I don't skip too far ahead. Let me see. Let's backtrack. They confirmed Jasmine's dead. Andy ends up talking to Zach saying that she could have died. She was thanking him and stuff like that. Hudson ends up getting arrested. Fatima and Karen end up making it to the hospital. And they talking about they can't see her because, the blackout, everybody's just filling the rooms and stuff like that. And that's when Karen started saying that something's wrong. She could feel it. Then Fatima was going to call everybody, but Karen told her not to leave her, so she stayed right there beside her. I said, look, she a real one, y'all. Gotta get her that. What else happened? They cut to the scene with Rich. He over here talking about some doggone, I can explain. He talking about so he barely put the tip in. I said, you get y'all over here doing more than that. Nuh-uh. What she was doing on you? Talking about barely did anything. Then talking about I just needed a distraction. I was just using her as a distraction and all this other stuff. I couldn't stop thinking about you, so that's why I did what I did. And just a whole bunch of excuses and stuff. And I said, Rich, you better off just being quiet. You better off. What he said, he still can't think. He couldn't stop thinking about her. That's what led to this or whatever. And he's like, I'm actually glad you stopped. I said, these dudes be over here making up stuff as they go, don't it? I said, he making up stuff as he goes. I'm actually glad you stopped. I said, smack him. I said, cue to slap, but she ain't do it. She did not do it. Now, we know Sabrina got them hands, if you remember from, what was it, season 1? But yeah, she didn't. She controlled herself. She had self-control. Then Penelope came out there talking crazy and stuff. She smacked Rich in the back of the head, talking about something. What did he say that led her to do that? He said something. Oh, she just something to do. And that's why she smacked him in the back of the head. Then she started talking crazy to Sabrina. First, Sabrina was like, you chose her of all people and all this other stuff. And Penelope started talking crazy to my son. Really? How can you talk or whatever? You been, sleeping with your sperm donor. I said, when she started, I could have sworn she said nothing happened. I mean, that don't mean she telling the truth, but I could have sworn she said they just got close or whatever. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did they sleep together? I don't know. But yeah, what else happened? Let me see. Let me scan these notes, y'all. Let me scan these notes. Let's see. They cut to the scene with Tony and Danny. And he was over there. He was saying how he thinking about his situation, having to go to Alaska. That's when he ends up asking Danny if she want to go with him. She was like, no, she not going there. It's too cold, and she was just joking about it and stuff like that. So then he asked her if she planned on visiting, because he said he would visit her once a month at least or whatever. She told me she ain't visiting him either. And I said, okay now. Then she said she didn't want to do long distance. And I said, okay, it's over. It's over. Did they ever say if she accepted his proposal or not? I don't know if they ever said that she accepted his proposal. Andy ends up thanking Zach for having her back. That's when Zach said he was shocked that Gary actually stepped up and tried to help. He said that Gary was shivering. I said the same. I said, he over here, is he shaking? I said, he under the desk shaking and stuff. And looked like he had blood on him. So did he get shot? I'm confused now. Because when they walked Hudson out, them looked like he was injured. I was like, so somebody had to, right? I don't know. Let's see what else. Let me flip to the back. Andy ends up saying she wonders if she should get a weapon. That's when Zach told her, not to let his girl influence her, not to let Fatima influence her or whatever. And she was just saying how she's shaking up. She was scared. That's when she told him to go check everything. And he did. He did check for her. I was like, it's time to go now. I said, it's time to go. Don't need no more situations to pop up. But yeah, Serena ends up asking Rich why her, and she started to wonder if this been going on for a while, if they been messing around. He was like, no, this is the first time he ever touched her. That's just, his boy, sister, whatever, and stuff like that. And I was like, he just making it worse. Every time he talk, he just make it worse. Now, I don't agree, because they did break up. So, he said something about, he didn't know it was a time limit for somebody moving on. True that. They always say that, but at the same time, that kind of make you look like you had something going on, or like this is what you wanted. Then talking about, so I couldn't stop thinking about you. So you slept with somebody else? What the word going on? What else? Let me see what else happened, y'all. That's when Penelope hit him. We already talked about that. Karen ends up repeating that something's wrong, but nobody's listening. Nobody listening to her. Tony ends up telling Danny how he learned how to manage a long distance relationship because of his ex-wife. Danny talking about some how'd that work out for you? Let's see. So she tell him, she like, you gotta decide. I'm waiting on you to decide or whatever, if you'll stay or go. She started telling him like he qualified, he could get another job there and stuff like that. I said, okay, Danny, at some point you gonna have to make sacrifices too, especially since you the one dumped the doggone coffee on the man to begin with. Nobody told you to do that. But yeah, I was like, dude, Tony, at this point, just walk away. Go back to your ex-wife. I said, go back to your ex-wife or somebody, because she not willing to compromise. She's still over here making it all about her. Making it seem like it's all about her. But yeah, what else? I already said that the nurse lady at the desk, she wasn't taking Karen's concerns seriously. I said Zach walked in on Andy. That's when Andy said she don't want Zach to tell Fatima what he saw. And I was like, don't keep secrets. Don't. Whenever you get the time, you better tell it. You better tell it. Or make the time and tell it. What else? Penelope ends up telling Rich she not going inside and she not the enemy and stuff. That's when she started talking about Sabrina and what's his name? What's the sperm donor name? The money. Her and the money. Then they said on one synopsis, Sabrina's supposed to take a step on the wild side or something like that. I said, she gonna go sleep with the money. I said, these folks don't learn at all. They don't learn. This don't never help nobody. It make things worse. Then you end up pregnant by him for real, the old fashioned way. Then what? I said, these people don't think. What else? Sabrina ends up telling them they can have each other. First, I thought she was going to do something, but she didn't. She went and got in the car. She looked like she wanted to go back, but she was like, no, they not worth it or whatever. That's when they all end up listening to Fatima voicemail. Let's see. I already said how they said Karen, the doctor said that Karen's bleeding, but it's normal. What else? Let me see. Yeah, I think the last thing was they showed everybody listening to the voicemail at the same time. and they all on the way to the hospital. They supposed to be stuck in traffic. Aaron, the only one, showed up. He showed up with balloons, and he asked what was going on. That's when he looked through the window, and he seen the doctor pull the cover back, and she's bleeding. She's bleeding. I said, they done did this doggone crazy storyline where she was pregnant by 2 doggone different people just to sit up here and have her, allegedly, lose the babies. Or one of the babies, anyway, Zach baby. And I've seen a lot of people saying they glad she should lose the baby. And I said, I won't say that, even with it being a fake show. I said I ain't gonna say that because it's messed up either way it go. But I'm glad they are talking about how doctors be dismissive of certain people. But yeah, I think that's everything, y'all. Let me make sure. Yeah, that's everything. Let me know y'all thoughts down below on this episode. Are y'all excited to see what's next? Do y'all think it's gonna be different or the same old thing they've been showing us for the past 8 seasons? Let me know. But yeah, that's it. That's all. Let me know y'all thoughts down below. Stay tuned for the next video. Until next time, deuces. Have a great rest of the night and be safe.